Hey guys, welcome, welcome. Let me see if I can tag. I meant to tag everybody since I've been late. I'll just tag it after. So first and foremost, I hope you can hear me because last time you could not. So let's see. Can you hear me, Jennifer? Welcome to today's training. I did a training last week and I did the whole training and went back and there was no audio at all. So can you hear me? Can you hear me? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Michelle, tell me, can you hear me? Shelly, can you hear me this time? Can you hear me? Somebody say yeah. Or text me on my phone or something. I'm afraid to go on. Hey, Kelly, can you hear me today? I was actually reading and taking notes. Look at me, trying to give you guys the best of the best. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes, you can hear me? No, you cannot. We can hear you. Okay, thank you. Shelly texted me. I don't know why, because I can see you guys coming on, but no comments. So thank you so much. That's irritating and I don't want to do it, but I literally did the most epic training on my balcony on my cruise. It was so good. I was like, I'm so proud of myself. God was speaking through me that day and no one could hear it. So I had to delete it. And I saw Kelly say, it's a shame because I know it's good. So if you've been here since the beginning, I did 6 months of all of these topics. I'm revisiting all of those topics because you can just rinse and repeat, but I'm getting a little bit deeper because I'm learning as I'm training. So as I learn more, I give more, and you guys can come along on the journey. So today we're going to talk about two things that are kind of simultaneous, but it's digging into the why and setting the appropriate goal. And I'm going to talk about some roadmaps, I'm going to talk about the roadmap, but the roadblocks that you might come across that you need to be aware of as a coach. And if you're doing it for yourself. And side note, I am feeling very ill. I actually took a COVID test. So I'm stopped up and literally just threw on this top and I have my pajama bottoms on. I'm just going to tell you full disclosure. So I was doing some great buffering, which buffering means you are doing something that is important and on your to-do list, but something that you weren't supposed to be doing during that block of time. Was doing some great buffering and I got my entire desk cleaned in like 5 piles from last year that I still needed to sort out. So yay me for not really wanting to do my work today because I actually got some other shit done, which is also bad. So today we're going to talk about, let's start with the why. You guys are really good at this. And I think a lot of people start at the top and a lot of coaches will train, you need to ask them, what's your why? What's your why? What's your why? And the problem is we don't dig deep enough as a coach to really get into the nitty gritty of why someone's doing this. Y'all, it's not so I can afford my products. It's not, time freedom. It's not those bullshit reasons that people give you. Those are the surface level, what I think I'm supposed to say. So I don't look like an idiot for wanting to show up on social media and irritate and feel like I'm irritating my friends and family. Okay. So most of us, when we get into this business, we grapple with what if I feel like I'm irritating friends and family? I know some of my best leaders on my team, one is watching, was grappling with that. I'm a professional. I have this professional gig. Everybody knows me, that this is my career background. I'm a very professional woman. I work for, a big company and have for a long time. And what are they going to think when I start repping some sort of something, hair care, face care, whatever, health and wellness? What are they going to think? So when you're digging into somebody's why, you have to dig into an appropriate why to get them past that. What are people going to think? I had a career. I have an MBA, people. I actually went to school and paid $40,000 to get an MBA so I could advance my career. And then it didn't advance. And then I couldn't pay my bill off So my why was to pay that stupid bill off. Do I feel like it was valuable? Yes. Do I feel proud to have it? Yes. I set a goal to do something that nobody has to do, and I did it. I was a single mom at the time, and I did that, and I'm proud of myself for that, and I'm proud that my kids saw me do that. But has it helped me in my current career? No. Did it help me in my other career? No. But it was my original why for getting out of my own way, because I had that $40,000 bill to pay, and I was a single mom with no child support, and there was no extra money, y'all, none, to start paying that bill. And once you graduate, 8% interest, you guys, started being tacked on. 8% interest. I didn't put myself on Do Not Disturb, so while I swipe away, I'm sorry. So my why was, I have to pay this bill off. You know, I can't let 8% interest accrue over time like this. I can't. And thank God for the vid, because they stopped the interest payments, and I doubled down on my minimum payments, and I got that crap paid off because it wasn't accruing interest all during, you know, those years around 2020. So you have to really dig deep. And so when you're coming to the table and you ask your person, your new team member, or yourself, if you're coaching yourself, because if you haven't done this for yourself, you need to. And if your coach isn't doing it for you, you have to do it for yourself. And it is, why do you want to do this? I want you guys to write that down. Why do you want to do this? And then once you write that down, I want you to ask yourself, and if you're coaching, you're going to ask the next question, why is that important? Why is that important to you? And then the next question you're going to ask yourself or your team member is, how will your life look and feel different when you've attained that? So you're asking a question, you're digging deeper into really why is that important? And then you're casting a vision of what their life is going to look and, more importantly, feel. How is it going to feel different? How is it going to look different? What's it going to look like? What's it going to feel like? And you're going to write that down for them. You're going to keep it in your notebook. And when you do your coaching calls with them, you're going to remind them that this is your why. So those of you who are watching me, some of you guys are on my team. Why did you get into this? What was the real reason? And I'll give you an example. And you may have heard this example before. And I feel like I've just said it because I did last week and it wasn't able to be listened to. So this is kind of a combination of several that I've heard, but it's a very common theme. So I'm going to use it. You know what? I'll just use my own because I hate to maybe accidentally spill the beans. And now my internet's going to act up. Okay. So my original why was, my first one was because I lost child support and I needed to replace that income quickly. So it was like $1,200 a month and all of a sudden it was gone. And I didn't want to be away from my family with a second job. I could have like picked up another job. I could have worked, 7 days a week. I feel like that's 8 days a week, which means you're working more hours than there are. But I wanted to stay home with my kids, and I was realizing how important it was to stay home to my kids. So I hear this a lot. I want to be a present parent. But when you dig into, like, let's go with that. I want to be a present parent. Okay. I don't want to be away from my kids. The money's important, but the bigger why is I don't want to be away from my kids. Can you get money different ways? Yeah, you can sell your feet pictures on Instagram or whatever you want to do. You can do a lot of things to get money. And the only other option I saw in my head was to like go get another job and to work when I wasn't working my 8 to 5 job, which would have meant I was away from my kids even more. And so it started out with, I need money. My bigger why was I don't want to be away from my kids more. I would prefer not to be away from my kids as much as I am. Because as they're getting older, a lot of you guys are attracting really young moms who don't want to take their babies to daycare. Let me tell you what you really don't want to do. You really don't want to leave your middle schooler home alone while you're working. That's what you really don't want to do. That's when they're getting into all sorts of trouble and they have no ability to make a good decision. like physiologically, they can't even use this part of their brain. And so you're leaving those people home alone because they're too old for daycare and they're not old enough to get a job to stay busy after school, and you're still working, and those humans that are using literally their reptilian brain are being left to fend for themselves. That's when you really don't want to leave a kid alone at home, or even a teenager. And so in my situation, my little middle schooler was struggling with mental health. And I got to a point with her that I couldn't even leave her during the night. So I had her door off. I was sleeping in the guest room immediately across. And it was like she was a newborn baby. And every time I heard a noise, I was awake. It was bad, y'all. Before we got her meds straight, and gratefully I used the income that I made with this to get her off labor help for her mental health, stuff that insurance isn't covering here in Atlanta. I was able to pay for that, and we got her straight, and she's finally better, and it's 3 years later. But oh my God, I was able to be home with her 24/7. I was able to meet her at the bus stop and take her to school and make sure she was never alone. I never had to leave her side, not ever. And y'all, it was really, really a scary time. I didn't know if she was going to come home from school unless I was at that bus stop. I didn't know if she was going to wake up the next day unless I made sure that she went to bed with nothing that she could hurt herself with. It was a very scary time. And so my why, my get out of freaking bed and work my ass off, it was because I can't go to work. I cannot leave this kid alone, not for a single minute. And if she can't go to school that day, I don't need to be able to call in. So you start with this why, and then you want to really dig into the big deal why. The big deal why that's going to get you on a call like this that I don't have to do when I just took a COVID test because I'm sweating and I feel like hell. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it for my team. I'm inviting everybody else to learn, but I'm really doing it for my team, and I'm showing up for myself because I have to be here. I have to be here for this kid and whatever else comes. Like, it could be a parent that you have to take care of that you can't leave alone. It could be, a disabled child. It could be, an unexpected medical expense. Like, maybe your insurance isn't going to cover the cancer treatment that you deserve. Guess what? Something like this can pay for something like that. So you have to dig into your new prospects' big why. And it usually involves crying. And if you do it on a video, they'll kind of lean back. You'll see them swallowing a little bit. They'll start averting their eyes, and there'll be some body language associated with that you're digging in and you're getting to something. And that's the one that you write down. And then it's your job as a coach to remind them about that. I can definitely do a better job about this with my team. Every year you need to reevaluate your why with your team, each one individually. And every time you hit your goal, you need to reevaluate your why. Like, why am I going to keep going? Why is it important to get bigger or better? And y'all, it's not about money. I wish it was, but it's not. It's what the money will do for them. It's how the money, the financial freedom will change the way their life looks and feels. That's the why. It's not about the money. It's how this human being's life will be changed when they have that income steadily coming in. That's the why that you have to dig into, and you have to keep asking questions until you get there. So think 3 layers deep, like dig at least 3, sometimes 4, until you get some tears, until you get some weird body language going on where you're like, okay, now I'm getting somewhere. And it's not to retire my husband. I mean, it's, I want to retire my husband. And then you realize this husband has not been faithful, and she wants him to be home full time, and she can't wait until he doesn't have to have some 20-year-old secretary, going back and forth him anymore. Not that that's the solution, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it starts out here and then you dig and you're like, oh, that's the real reason. And when you talk about that, when you say, hey, You said you wanted Steve to come home because he got to work with, Sarah and they had a thing. Is that still what you want? Because if it is, we got to get busy. And if it's not, let's talk about something different, And it's your job to remind your new prospect or your leader on your team what their why is and why they wanted it in the meantime. It's your job to remind them. It's not your job to tell them to do their job. It's not your job to be like, you said you were going to post and you didn't. No, it's your job to be like, hey, you said that you didn't have the money to pay for your kid's head to get scanned at this clinic so you knew exactly what medicines her brain would react to. This is my story. Is that still your why? Because if so, we got to go make $5,000 because time's a ticking. Let me show you how to do that. Who's going to get into action faster? Somebody who's like, oh, I want to make some extra money, or somebody who's like, my kid's medical bill is $5,000. My insurance isn't going to pay for it. And if I don't get it for her, she doesn't get help. Who's going to work faster? Who's going to work harder for themselves? Which one, A or B? So that's why you have to dig into your why. So every year you want to go through this with your team, and you want to go through it with yourself if your coach is not doing that for you. And you want to make sure that you revisit it as you're moving toward their goals. Okay, so that moves me on to setting the right goal. Let me first tell you, setting the right goal is so important because I love when I hear people say, I'm going to set a big, hairy, scary, audacious goal. You know what that tells me? You don't think you can do anything with this business. You're not willing to work hard, and you want to give yourself an out when you don't hit the goal, because if I said I'm going to make 7 figures by December, I can work as hard as I want to, and mathematically, I'm not going to go from where I am to 7 figures by December. Maybe next December, but not this December. So it's an easy out to not hit that goal. No one's going to think I'm a loser. I'm not even going to think myself's a loser. And that wasn't even grammatically correct, but you know what I mean. And it's like saying I want to lose 100 pounds by Friday. Not going to happen. So setting those giant, ridiculous goals is the same as saying I'm not going to set a goal because I don't want to hold myself accountable and I don't want to work hard. And I don't want anybody else to look at me and know that I failed. Because when you set a goal, you're saying, I'm doing something that I'm willing to fail at. Sit with that for a minute. I'm going to do something that I'm willing to fail out at for the chance to hit it. Right? So your goal doesn't need to be something you know you're going to hit. It has to be something you're willing to fail at for the chance to hit it. Almost like the lottery. I'm willing to lose this $10 for the chance at $1 billion. But you have to be willing to lose the $10, right? You have to go into it knowing I could lose the $10 and I'm totally fine with that because I want the chance at what I could have what I couldn't have if I didn't pay the $10. So your goal has to be something you're willing to fail at and something you could fail at. If you're setting a goal that you can't fail at because you're so good, it's not a big enough goal. But it can't be something ridiculous with a time frame that's unrealistic because that means you're not going to even try. You're already giving yourself an out. Well, everybody would understand if I don't make $1 million tomorrow. No. You want to feel some sort of way for not hitting your goal, but you want to keep going. So you don't want to set a goal that's going to paralyze you and put you into there's no way I can do that. So it's got to be, and it's different for every person. So it's got to be here's your why. Here's your why. You need to make $5,000 in the next month to pay this kid's, bill. Let's figure out, what that can look like short term. And let's chunk it down to days. Every day, here's what I need to do. And let's talk about the actions that you need to take to create that. So here's something interesting, and I found this when I was doing some reading. So I've taken a lot of courses. And the last one was through a Kristen Boss course. And she said something very powerful that that's really amazing about confidence building. And I don't think I've heard it stated like this before. And I've done a lot of personal development. I've read a lot of books. I mean, I just stacked up about 20 that I read from last year. Okay, so action creates motivation. Write that down. Action creates motivation. Confidence is the product of taking slow action with time while also experiencing doubt. People think that you need motivation to take action, but it's really, in fact, the other way around. The daily action creates the motivation. You know, oh, I ran 1 mile, I'm going to run 2. Oh, I ran 2 miles, I'm going to run 3. Oh, I lost 10 pounds, I'm going to lose 15. The action creates the motivation, not the other way around. And confidence is built by constantly flexing that muscle of doubt. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but I'm going to keep trying. So how many of you how many of you using the thought processes that you've had in your own business, how long you're going to keep going when you keep failing, would be walking today if you used that same process when you were a toddler learning to walk? For a lot of you, you would have never walked because you would have fallen down one time on the first try and you would have been like, this just isn't working for me. And you would have been a crawler the rest of your life. For a whole lot more, it would have been like, I tried it 3 times. It's just not working for me. And then you would have been a crawler for life. Imagine if you use the same mentality that you're using about your business, your desire to create extra income for your big why. If you use that same thought process when you were learning to walk, most of you would never have walked. Because these little babies, they fail, they fall, and they get up over and over and over and over again. And it hurts. And they don't care what anybody thinks about them. And they keep doing it until they get it right. And if they have a disability, there's no difference in the level of trying. They still try hard until they get it right or they get something to help them, like with a brace or some sort of assisted device. So think about, are you trying something and failing and saying, oh, this just isn't working out for me? This just isn't for me. I'm not good at this. I'll never have this. Are you quitting? Or are you determined to keep going because that why that you wrote down is so important that you don't really give a shit how many times you fail? So your goal needs to be something that you're willing to fail at. And for everybody else, that's different. I mean, for some girls that I'm talking to, brand new, like just putting up a post is a goal. I mean, for somebody like me, I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, first of all, your post isn't going to make you any money. And let me tell you, if you still think a post is going to make you money, then we need to personally have a conversation. So just putting up a post is scary and a huge goal, a huge action step toward the goal that they've set, their short-term goal and their long-term goal. And so a person like that I'm having to create some sort of a short-term goal as let's put up your first post. We're not going to talk about posting several times a day, working a DMO, and engaging with 100 people. That's like that person would never do those things. So you want to make a goal that's a little bit of a stretch goal, but not a big, hairy, audacious goal, which will enable them to just shut down and be like, oh, there's never way I'm going to hit that, so why try, right? So you want to keep asking, how does that feel? How does that feel? How does that feel? How does that feel? So, if they made $500 last month, how does it feel to stretch to make an extra 20%. Like, let's make that $600 next month. And then the next month after that, like, let's stretch it to 30. Let's make whatever the math on that is next month. How does that feel? And by the way, here are the actions that you would need to take to get to that much money. And so when you're setting your goals, you don't just want to set the goal. Oh, we're going to make $1,000 next month. You're not going to set that goal. You want to make $1,000. I'm going to use my business as an example. $1,000 is about 25 products a week, just on average. If you're selling some bigger devices, you're going to hit it a lot faster. About 25 products a week, about 3 products a day. What activities do you need to do to get in front of enough people to sell 3 things a day? When's the last time that you sold 3 things in one day? What activities were you doing that day? Those are the activities you need to do. So I can help my team chunk it completely down by saying, here's how many conversations you need to have, how many posts you need to put up, how many reach outs you need to do to have the conversations that you need to close 3 sales in a day. And we have tracked that. So you're tracking your DMO. So when you're doing your DMO and it's tracked, I'm not going to back up because I only have my shorts on. So when you're doing your DMO, how many posts you're putting up, how many people you're engaging with, how many people you've sent friend requests to, how many reach outs you've done. You're tracking that every day. Start adding how many sales did you get? And if it's 0, 0, 0, you need to be working more one-on-one with your coach and or talking to different people, saying different things, and that's what we're learning here. But when you start to get some sales here and there, pay attention to what you've done in the days leading up to that. And when you hit your sales target, like 3, say 3 a day, 2 a day, whatever it is, then you want to go back and figure out what was I doing that got me to those 2, and now consistently what do I need to keep doing moving forward? And that's how you figure out your daily activities and what you need to do in order to close enough sales to make enough money. So that's if you are retailing. If you're building a team, if you've retailed enough to make $1,000 a month, now you're growing a team so you can make multiple thousands of dollars a month, then those business activities need to be surrounding recruiting. So I'm not talking to those leaders about selling stuff. Yes, do I want them to sell some stuff? Yes, to new people who are coming in, because you're sending 25 friend requests a day. You're getting about 10 new people every day into your network. They're seeing your stuff. They're raising their hand. They're coming into the funnel, raising their hand saying, I want to know more about what you're doing. And you're going to ask those people about the business too, because if you sell something to them and they like it, you need to be saying, hey, if you like it, I'm sure you have 10 friends who would too. That's X amount of dollars. Can I show you how to make it? Have you ever extra money? And now my monitor is going off. I have a glucose monitor. So, now I lost my train of thought. This is what sick and allergy medicine will do for you. So once you have created $1,000 a month, hundreds of dollars a month, and you're ready to go thousands of dollars a month, you need to be building a team. And the conversations and the things that you track are going to be different. It's going to be how many business conversations are you having? How many people have said, yes, they want to look at your opportunity, a link, going to a call to action, like they've jumped on an opportunity call, or they've asked for a link for more, or whatever. So it's how many business conversations, then how many people have said yes to a link, then how many of those people who looked at the link opted in, then how many of those people are actually working the business and creating income. So that tells you, you drill that down to the one person who's actually working the business and creating income, and then you go backwards. How many people opted into the business? It's usually 10 for me. So if I have one business builder who's actually working the business and running to work it like a real job, or like a part-time job even, it's usually 10 people I've recruited. And before that, it's usually 30 people that I've talked to about the business. Actually, I take that back. 30 people have asked about the business and 90 people have talked about the business. So for me, my conversion rate for closing prospects is 90 business conversations a month, which is 3 a day. So you can see where it's the magic number for me is always 3. For my team, it's 3 sales a day, can get you to thousands a month. And then we're going to convert that to 3 business conversations a day is going to get you to thousands a month, because we're going to start bringing in team members and we're going to show them how to sell 3 things a day. So that's how that grows into multiple thousands of dollars a month or a 6-figure income, right? It was just math. But if you're not tracking it, then you can't set the goal. Well, you can set the goal, but if you're not tracking it, you don't know what actions you have to do specifically in your organization with your reach. Like, I have some people who can get to that number a lot faster because they have a bigger reach, better algorithm, more people who are following them. So that's kind of how you're going to dig up the why, set the appropriate goal, and then as a coach, revisit that through an accountability call. Hey, we set this goal for the last 4 days. You said you were going to do this many activities. Let's go back and see what you did. And then if they didn't do that, then you need to dig into why. Why didn't you do those activities that you said you were going to do to reach another step toward this so important why? Is the why not important anymore? Or are you not believing in yourself? Do we need to change the activities? Let's figure out why you didn't do those activities so that you can get into action and actually be moving forward towards your why, which is why you're here. And I want to help you do that. So then there's an accountability call. So I hope that helps. That's 2 topics. Next, or this Thursday, I'm going to do the 2 for this week together, and then we'll be back on track for Tuesday, Thursday. Let me know down below. Did you watch it on the replay? Are you watching it live? And what topics do you need to hear about, or does your team need to hear about that you haven't seen here yet? Because I'm creating some other content or some bonus stuff, and I want to know how I can best serve you. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. Go talk to 3 people about your business or sell 3 things today and watch your whole entire organization change. Bye, y'all.